The Mississippi River watershed is the fourth largest watershed on our planet. It drains all or parts of 31 states and 2 Canadian provinces. This means that all the water that runs off land between the Rocky Mountains and the Appalachians comes out of the mouth of the Mississippi River below New Orleans. The watershed is 1.2 million square miles and covers 40% of the lower 48 states. In the 1930s, the Mississippi was overwhelmed with raw sewage, trash, and chemicals. In 1972, the United States government passed the Clean Water Act, which addresses point source water pollution and helps us to maintain the integrity of our wetlands. Point source water pollution is defined simply as any pollution that comes out of a pipe. I've got a friend here to help us understand where we are with water quality today on the Mississippi River.
Yes, my name is Shawn Giblin. I'm the Mississippi River Water Quality Specialist for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources.
First, I asked Shawn what kind of progress we've made on point source pollution.
They're certainly moving in the right direction. And then you look at sort of the wildlife recoveries associated with, reducing these point sources. Things like eagles. Like I said, we were down to 1 active nest, around 1972 on the refuge. Really, when the Clean Water Act was passed, now we're 350, maybe coming up on 400 active nests, and in the same area where we're down to 1. So it's nothing short of incredible in terms of response. And that applies to other wildlife species. The fur bearers have made recoveries as well. It should be a point of pride for this country in terms of what we've done. Sort of a demonstration of what we can do when science is applied to these problems.
So today our biggest challenge is non-point source pollution, which is simply water that runs off the land, carrying with it tons of silt.
I think the non-point source is really the kind of the pollution issue of this generation, honestly. And so when we talk about non-point source, we sort of have a landscape that's leaking, sediment, nitrogen, and phosphorus, and then the problems we have associated with that sediment, nitrogen, and phosphorus.
The nitrogen and phosphorus accelerate the growth of aquatic vegetation. Duckweed is a plant that floats on the surface, so when it gets that extra fertilizer, it can cover huge areas, cutting off the light to any plants below.
What happens is you don't get any light through there, so you don't get any photosynthesis under the mats.
Right.
So the duckweed they're releasing the oxygen to the atmosphere rather than the water column. So you get underneath these duckweed mats, you have little or no oxygen. They're sort of biological deserts in a way. We always kind of talk about the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico. I'll tell people, we have many of these sort of mini dead zones really interspersed throughout the river, under summer conditions, especially in the low flow years.
So how can we address this problem?
We're getting better at this over time, kind of better land use practices, better farming practices, things like no-till agriculture, having setbacks from the edges of streams. So you leave natural vegetation, in between, the edge of the water, and where the farming field begins. You don't have to really look too far to really see, spots where you go right up to the very edge of, the corn. Pictures, corn and beans falling into the drink.
The Minnesota River contributes 625,000 tons of suspended solids to the Mississippi River every year. That's 85 20-ton truckloads a day. But communities and farmers alike are addressing the issue, and Governor Mark Dayton has introduced a new state law that requires farmers and other landowners to keep vegetation setbacks between their fields and yards and any waterway.
I'm really excited about what they're doing over in Minnesota. I think they're going to get huge response out of these setbacks. I think we'd be surprised to see what we can really get. We sort of just give these rivers and streams a little bit of room to be rivers and streams.
Scientific studies revealed the benefits of clean water.
3 times increase in native fish biomass, 3 times increase in things like recreational fish biomass. So these are the fish, the bass, the northerns, the bluegills, the crappie, the perch, that people really want to go out and fish for. So I always tell people, when you get the water quality right, good things happen.
If you want more specifics on pollution and what you can do to help the river, I urge you to seek out the State of the River Report 2016. It's an easy-to-understand, comprehensive report on river flow, swimming and recreation, wildlife, and specific contaminants. You can read it online or even download a copy to print from fmr.org. That stands for Friends of the Mississippi River, fmr.org.